Hi, English 111 students. I have just finished grading your Pollenhurst template-based essays, and I have to say that I was somewhat disappointed in some of your submissions. So before we go any further with the Oleksinski and the Kotkin articles about millennials, I really want you to pay close attention to this video. I'm going to go over a few things that may help some of you make higher grades on your last paper before the final. Okay, so this is a paper that received an A in one of my classes. Of course, I've changed the name of the student, but I want to point out some things to you. Okay, let's start with the introduction. Now, on your template-based essay rubric, the introduction is worth 11 points. So it's sort of an easy way to get points, in my opinion. One thing that you definitely need to cover is both titles and both authors' names. That's very important. Correctly spelled names. It's amazing how many people spelled Michael Pollan's name incorrectly. So let's look at this student's first sentence. In the articles An Animal's Place and the Omnivore's Delusion Against the Agri-Intellectuals, Michael Pollan and Blake Hurst debate the raising of livestock and crops. So as you can see, this student just gave a very general topic of both articles. And yeah, they do have very different opinions, but they are both about farming and farming crops and farming animals. Okay? Now, on your template, it says, why is this a discussion-worthy topic? All right, and this person answers that question. In a society where industrial farming has taken over as a way to feed the population, these authors discuss important issues with the ethics of raising livestock and crops in ways that are not completely natural and the effect this has on the animals, land, and produce that are farmed. Okay, great. It's important to you. It's a discussion-worthy topic because basically we all eat. We all have to eat in order to survive. So I think it's important for consumers to know where their food's coming from. All right, here is this student's thesis statement. In a time when food is in high demand, it is critical that we evaluate how we raise our food and find ethical and sustainable ways to fill a growing need for food worldwide. All right, let's move on. We're not going to go through both summaries, but let's move on to Michael Pollan's summary. One huge mistake that a lot of you made is with your citations. I know citations can be confusing. When you are dealing with internet sources, which is the majority of what you deal with because it's 2017, most people don't read on paper anymore. Okay? When you're dealing with internet sources, you will not have page numbers. It does not matter how the printer printed it out. It does not matter the paragraph number. You never cite paragraph numbers. Okay? So it should, in your citation, you should only have the author's last name. Now, if you reference the author in the signal phrase, you don't need a citation because you don't need the author's name twice. Now, I'm going to show you an example. All right? Now, you'll remember that in the Pollan article, he called on a lot of theorists and experts when he was talking about animal rights. Okay, look at what this person wrote. Pollan gets an answer from Matthew Scully, who claims, all right, so it's in the Pollan article, but Pollan is referencing another guy named Matthew Scully. We are called to treat them with kindness, not because they have rights, blah, 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 because they stand unequal and powerless before us. Okay? Now look, QTD period in Pollan. Okay? No page number. He did the QTD, which means quoted, in Pollan to tell the reader that, yes, it is in the Pollan article, but no, it is not Pollan's words. Okay? That's an example of how you do that. Let's look at this one. Right here. The author acknowledges that animals feel pain, but, quote, the qualitative difference is largely a result of our possession of language and an ability to have thoughts about thoughts and imagine alternatives to our current reality. Okay. Do you see, no page numbers, of course, because it's an electronic source, but he refers to Michael Pollan as the author right here. Okay, he did not call him by name. That's why he has Pollan in the citation. Now, let's pretend that he did call him Pollan in the signal phrase. If he called him Pollan up here, and this is all one sentence, then you don't need the citation here because you've already given him a name. Okay? That's what happens when there are no page numbers. All right. Let's keep going down to compare and contrast. Despite their differing opinions on whether animals should be kept in cages, Pollan and Hurst agree that livestock live better lives as food for humans than prey for other animals. Okay, so he went ahead and started with the similarities. Livestock is in constant danger, which can be reduced for some species by cages. From personal experience, Hurst says, all right, so he's going to give that quote from Hurst about gestation crates with piglets. And notice, he uses Hurst's name right here, so he doesn't need a citation at the end. It's all part of the same quote. All right. Let's look at the conclusion. A lot of you do what I call shortchange the conclusion. It's almost like you get to the end of the paper and you're tired of writing, and I totally understand that. And you just want to get this thing over with. And so you write about 3 sentences that are sort of superficial and don't have a lot of meaning, and then you end your paper. But what you're missing is that the conclusion is very valuable, okay? It's worth some points here. So you need to end strong. If you start strong, you got to end strong. After reading both articles, I have come to the conclusion that while there is no problem with eating meat, there is a problem with the animals being treated inhumanely and crops being drenched with chemicals in the name of efficiency. All right, your conclusion is the only part of this essay that asks for your personal opinion, so you can give your honest opinion. I feel that both authors make excellent points, but shoppers shouldn't have to read every meat and produce label to make sure they aren't consuming harmful materials that are completely optional. All right, this student chose to insert some evidence in his conclusion, but that's not a requirement. What's coming out here? We live in an area where farms are sprayed at the first sign of life on the fields, and everyone somehow gets horrible allergies at the same time. If farmers took responsibility for the effect of their actions, maybe they wouldn't have to deal with critics being agitated with their treatment of crops or animals. Now I feel that I have a better understanding of the food that farmers think that farmers think they are doing, and that it is possible to have compassion for what livestock go through without becoming a vegetarian. All right, great. So I'm going to scroll down, works cited page. Last but not least, okay? Notice you have hanging indents, okay? First line should always be flush with the margin. Second line is going to be indented 1/2 inch, and any other following lines, all right? So it's an electronic source. So in that PDF of the little blue book, the little seagull, you should have looked up how to format for an online magazine article, okay? So I got author's last name, comma, first name, period, the name of the article, the publication, italicized, comma, the specific date that it was posted or published, 30 July 2009, period. I have the URL, and then I have the access date. Okay, I hope that you understand that. I hope you understand that Hurst is before Pollan because the first word of each entry should be in alphabetical order. If you have questions on this, please don't hesitate to email me. Okay, it's my job. You're not bothering me. I want you to do well on this third paper and on your final exam, and I'm here for you to answer any questions that you may have, even if you think they're dumb. Okay, no questions are dumb. So please contact me and ask away.